FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
What happened to the Republican Party in many ways was one based upon events. It's a very tumultuous time in America's history. A lot of the difficult decisions that were made by the administration and by the Congress were not greeted very well, but then again, there were never very many better alternatives put forward at the time. Internally, what we became was a national party in our minds, as opposed to what we really are, which is, as a Republican Party, we're not an ideological national movement. We are a philosophical movement based upon people who get elected by district. Politics is the art of the possible. We can differ on certain things, we have shared principles, and then we apply them to the problems of the day. What you started to see was, as we became more national, more centralized, which is the antithesis of what the Republican philosophy is, we began to forget that we represent districts and that you can't do certain things and expect to get reelected, because your public will not allow you to do that. And spending was one of the classic examples.
Okay, you're giving me something that doesn't compute immediately for me, which is the argument that one of the problems the party got into was that it became national rather than local. But I thought that under Denny Hastert and Tom DeLay and the explosion of discretionary domestic spending, that what was taking place was a kind of hypersensitivity to congressmen, to Republican members of the House, district by district by district, in which they were attempting, the leadership then was attempting to play the Democratic game of shoving pork back home as fast as possible, as much as possible.
Actually, that was more of a symptom rather than the disease itself.
Oh, really? Okay, explain that. That's
largely the symptom was, if you look at, take for example, an issue like free trade.
Right.
We can argue the merits of it however we want. We can argue the nuances. But if you take free trade and you look at where a lot of our seats were lost, in the Ohio River Valley, in the Northeast, in the Midwest, these are not hotbeds of free trade.
Right.
So what would happen is, as members cast difficult votes, to get them to cast votes that their constituencies might not like, or that went too far too fast, the default position was, well, we'll try to help you out with this project in your district. The spending became, to a certain extent, a symptom of members doing things that their constituents did not like, and then the spending would be the default to try to, okay, we'll make them like you with spending. So spending was a problem in terms of some of what we did, but it was largely a symptom of the overarching failure to understand that the party can only move forward so fast on certain issues if the constituencies of the members who are sent there do not want them to go that far that fast.